Oh, it's fine. Perfect.
Okay, we're standing
we
by.
need to get this picture. I want to post it on our
Oh, yes, I wanted to ask you.
Are you happy with the sound? No. No. We're going. And welcome back to the City of Roses, and thanks for being with us on Morning Live. And we've been at it since yesterday, celebrating Women in Science and Research and the 20th anniversary of the South African Women in Science Awards last night. And what a beautiful occasion it was, and a room filled with winners here this morning. And of course, their support, because we heard from our keynote speaker who gave, a very incisive but also thought-provoking speech last night about some of the challenges but also the achievements of women in science. And we're going to take those conversations further. You'll get to hear from some of the winners from last night and some of the wonderful work. And I think South Africa, we're doing ourselves a disservice by not focusing on all the innovation, all the research and the beautiful work being done by these women. I tell you, if you read their bios and if you just look at a snippet of the work that they're doing, your mind will be blown. And it's important, I think, that we showcase what is happening in terms of science and innovation research in our country. And let's perhaps use this as a stepping stone towards that. I'm joined now by the Deputy Minister of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. And thank you so much, DM, for coming through. DM Gina, and then we also have one of the winners last night, Professor Zlungile Mkize-Kwichana, and next to her, of course, is Michelle Hololo from L'Oreal. Now, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me. Minister, it's very important to support women in science for some of the obvious reasons, but some of the not so obvious reasons as well in terms of what women are up against in the academic space.
Yeah. Good morning, Sakina, and good morning to the viewers. You are correct. It's quite important that we support these women. There's so much work that they do. But firstly, for me, why we need to support. Firstly, let me congratulate the winners, Sakina. It was quite an exciting evening. Even this morning, you can see the excitement.
You can give yourself a round of applause.
Thank you very much. And we are here to thank them, Sakina. When we talked, this is the science sector. Most women, it's not the sector where we used to find women getting attracted to be part of the sector, but really, what you are seeing, the traction that you are seeing, the numbers, the percentages that we're seeing of women getting into the science sector, it's quite amazing and heartwarming. And as you are saying, we need to give them support in all the way that we can do. And as government, we're trying our level best to make sure that we work with them, we support them, we make the environment conducive for them to come and play their part in science, in the science sector. We really appreciate them. So for us even to come with platforms like this, the SAWiSAs, the funding patterns that we are having, there's so many financial institutions that we are having, NRF within the department, what we can do to assist them. Really, we are trying to make sure that we attract as much as we can. But above it all, Sakina, as the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation, what we are mandated to do and what we want to do even most is to work mostly even with the Department of Basic Education to say, how do we build this pipeline starting from the early ages? Because we cannot only focus at the master's and the doctoral level without making sure that we build that solid foundations, sound foundation coming from that level. And what we always say, we cannot win when we say, as the department, we can do that alone. These winners that are here, in the institutions that they are leading, in whatever company or where they are. They will be there, our ambassadors will be working with them where they will go down and mentor those young ones, open up doors for them. We'll fully rely on them, the partnership that we are going to be having with these beautiful, successful and progressive ladies that are here that have won. And looking back, 20 years ago, all the SAWiSA women, what have they done when it comes to the science sector? We fully rely and we're working with them. And I can assure you, Sakina, we might not have reached where we want to reach when it comes to opening doors, when it comes to STEM subjects and issues of science, but we've made a very good progress, and watch the space, we'll reach there.
I couldn't agree more. And with regard to the women in the room, and I think for me, from a broadcasting perspective, one of the most important things is actually showcasing and bringing that sort of visibility to the women in this room, as I was saying last night, because you want young girls and young women to see themselves in this room, to see that it is possible, you know, and to actually go out there. You speak of their mentoring. We hope they have the time, but I know they always say, if you want something done, give it to someone who's busy.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that they are willing to give back and that they would want to. But it's so important that we actually beam these pictures to show people who look like them, who are able to get into these sort of career paths. Because one of the other things we take for granted is that there is exposure when it comes to careers that children and young people can take up. It's not true. And you know, I was listening to all of you last night and what you've achieved. And I think South Africa will be as, you know, surprised, pleasantly so, as I was last night. But I want to move on, DM, and I'll come back to you, to Professor Zilungile Mkhize-Kwichana. And I deliberately didn't say anything further than your name, because I want you to tell South Africa who you are and what you did to receive that award last night.
Thank you, Sakina, and good morning to the viewers. Good morning to the DM. Firstly, may I steal a minute to say thank you to the DM and to the Department of Science on behalf of all the winners. We never got a chance to say thank you. This is such a feat. We are just highly appreciative. I am Professor Zilungile Mkhize-Kwichana. I'm a distinguished professor at the University of South Africa. I'm also an honorary associate professor at the University of KwaZulu-Natal and also a research associate at the University of Johannesburg. My research is on neglected tropical diseases. These include your rabies, your leprosy, and most commonly the worm infections, I will call them that. Most of these are neglected, and since at the advent of HIV/AIDS, it was discovered that countries that have very high levels of these infections, particularly the worm infections, were actually displaying a very aggressive form of the disease. There were many theories, like probably those were getting a different strain of the HIV and so forth. All of that was disproved. And then it came out that probably these infections, actually, because of their nature, they are chronic. It means they stay for up to 25 years in the body if there's no treatment. What they do then, they dampen or they slow down the ability of the immune system to respond to other high pathogenic infections like HIV, TB, and all. So my work was the first to report, in fact, evidence that indeed those with worm infection, mind you, these are adults, had higher viral loads and lower CD4 counts, actually showing strong suggestive evidence that these infections actually cause harm to the immune system, and then the other infections are not well taken care of. We then went on and on. We had a number of other studies. The first study was done in Cape Town, Khayelitsha. The second one I led in north of Durban. Then the last one was done in south of Durban, showing similar results. And we've gone on to show that it's not only these pathogens, it also disables the immune system to curb cancer development. We know that our immune system is constantly looking for cancerous cells. So if it is hampered by these chronic infections, then the cancer can develop further. So that's where, in short, where we are, with a marvelous group of students that are mentoring, mostly women.
So this is why I wanted her to introduce herself, essentially, because nobody can do it better than her to speak about her work. And by the way, this is the winner in the Distinguished Women Researcher Public Engagement with Research category from last night. And then moving to Michelle Khulolo from L'Oreal. And Michelle, you have a long-standing relationship with the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation in supporting these awards and generally the work that the department does. Why does L'Oreal see the need to do that?
Thank you so much, Sakina, and good morning to everybody. I always love to start with the sentence that when people think about L'Oreal, they think about a beauty brand. But we consider ourselves to be a science-based company because everything that we do, science is in our DNA. So our founder was a scientist, and that's why as L'Oreal, we saw it very fit for us to support women in STEM. And I think speaker after speaker yesterday, they've already spoken about the underrepresentation of women in science. And that's why as L'Oreal, we thought, what is it that we can do to also drive the inclusivity, to empower women to make sure that they have equal footing in this and in the science field? And we always like to say we lead by example as well. We have our own R&I center at our head office in Johannesburg, where most of the people working there are women. Women that are behind groundbreaking innovations, the beauty innovations that we see on your beauty stores.
And, you know, if we look at the beauty business, that industry, I was reading somewhere that for the projection for 2025 is that this is a $650 billion business. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of money being spent by a lot of women on all sorts of products. And innovation is key because we find women looking out now for more natural sort of products. And I suppose the women and others around here are the people who will be helping you innovate.
Exactly, and then that's why as L'Oreal, we find it so important to invest in our innovation center because that's where the heart of our development is. And more importantly, it's very, very key now, you mentioned, to produce products that are inclusive, to produce products that are able to cater for all the different skin tones, all the different, hair types that we're looking at. So science is behind each and every little thing that we do. And I always say, when we go into the lab and you're like, oh, my hair, I've got like dandruff, there's science behind that. Why do you have a dandruff? And there's this big machine when you get into the lab and they're like, oh, you can see layers. I was so intrigued. You can see so many different layers. And then from there, they come up with products to say, how can we actually respond to the need? So literally, as I said, science is instilled in everything that we do. And I always say, when you put on that lipstick, ladies, know that there was science behind that lip color.
and there are so many fascinating, advances. For example, all the ladies, they put up their hands and the beautiful nails and what, it's not something I do. But I've seen lately that, now they have breathable nail polish, which, for obvious reasons would be healthier for our nails. But it's just amazing all the scientific developments that are afoot. But then coming back, Deputy Minister, with regard to just showcasing the wonderful work that is being done in the room. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I wish I could just run through and give everyone an opportunity to just briefly tell us in like those minute clips they had last night, what it is that they do, the groundbreaking work that they are doing. So we know that funding is a problem, but how is the department looking at supporting all of these initiatives going forward?
Sakina, before I come to the funding part of it, I'm so excited, was after listening to Lungi and
Michelle.
You know, we've got a mantra in the department where we are saying we are putting science at the center of everything that we do. Center of education, society, business, industry, and so forth. And what she has just said, really, it says, whatever we do is science. As we are sitting here, it's science. So that's exactly what you are saying as the department. Let the society, let the public know that science is everywhere. It's at the center of everything that we do. Thank you very much for those wonderful words. But coming to your question, Sakina, yes, we might be having difficulties when it comes to funding, but what we want to say seated here as the department, good people, let's network. There are options and opportunities that we have as a department where we try by all means to fund, to assist those who want to do studies in science. As I've said, NRF and so forth, we have got the PhD, the presidential PhD programs. There are avenues where we can assist. It might not be enough, but for me, what is more important is that don't sit in your corner and say you don't have funds. I think as the country, South Africa, we've moved really from that. We can't afford to have a learner seated at home saying, I'm not going to school because I don't have funds. I lack funds. Really, I think you'll attest and you'll agree with me when it comes to that. Yes, there might be difficulties, but let's take an example of Professor Nokwezi as the one who was our program, our guest speaker yesterday. For me, it was so much heartwarming to hear Professor Mzilikazi yesterday saying, I am a Dinswalo of this country. I'm where I am because of the funding that I've got. It might not have come easier as to say she was just sitting and somebody knocked and said, these are the funds, these are the funding opportunities that we have. But there are so many, as I'm saying. Can we don't rest? Can we talk? Can we network? The department where we are open. We might not assist you and get to that level for now, but with the pieces and packages that are there and the networking, as we are having such platforms, it's because we want to create such platforms where we can network and say, how best can we help? And more especially when it comes to the females, really we won't rest up until we help you get those funding. But as we are saying, we have quite a lot. For me, we talk of the presidential PhD programs, we talk of the NRFs, but what I'm saying, where do we even start with them from getting to, when you get into the tertiary level, NSFAS is there, we might not get that much, but coming from then up to the senior degrees, really, we do have a lot of assistance that we give to our learners who want to do anything, to our students, not learners.
Well, thank you so much, Deputy Minister Gina. But as we go to this ad break, I want to hand it to Professor Kizek Wichana, to the young girl who's about to go to school, the young lady about to leave to wherever she's going. Why is it possible for her to be you?
It's so more possible now than it was for us back then. So I want to tell each and everyone that, and the word impossible should never exist, because there are so many opportunities and technology is in their hands from a very young age. So if they start switching and thinking this is technology, this is science, if they can play games on their laptops, on their cell phones, that should stimulate. And they even now have artificial intelligence, which means their natural intelligence has much more capacity to then leverage on the artificial intelligence. So to each and every girl, it is so possible. The word impossible should never exist in their lives.
Well, thank you so much to our panel. A quick break, and then we'll continue with some more of our winners from last night.
Thank you.
Do we have it now? Okay. Yeah, please, we don't want to lose you now. All right, 30 seconds. Anything.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Morning.
1, 2, 3.
Well, welcome back to Bloemfontein, and of course, it is the morning after that prestigious evening that we celebrated Women in Science in South Africa and the 20th edition of this particular award ceremony. And speaking to some of the winners this morning, and it really is just so heartwarming, you know, just speaking to women doing wonderful things, really groundbreaking work, and making us proud as a nation. And we're going to speak to more of our winners now, joined to my left by Professor Jill Hannes-Hancock, South African Medical Research Council is where she hails from, and she is the SAWiSA winner for Distinguished Woman Researcher in the category Human and Social Sciences. And next to her, Professor Nombulelo Veronica Sepeng from the University of Pretoria, and she was the winner in the Public Engagement with Research category, and Jamie Lee January, PhD student, UWC SAWiSA recipient of a doctoral fellowship, and that was also launched last night, the Dr. Ivy Matsepe Kasaburi Fellowship. And let me tell you, 16 women receiving those fellowships last night, and it was absolutely amazing. So when we say they're all winners, they literally were all winners last night. But Prof. Jill, let me start with you. Just again, this is your moment. Take an opportunity to tell South Africans about the wonderful work that you are busy with.
Yeah, so I do
to better understand disabilities, specifically to things such as HIV. And then on the other side, to understand what
I'm just not too sure about the mic there with Dr. Joel, so we'll come back. You'll have a take two on that particular one. But in the meantime, whilst we're fixing that, Prof. Nomulelo, let's come to you in terms of your work.
Okay, good morning, everyone. As they've indicated, my name is Professor Nombulelo Sepeng from the Department of Nursing Science, the University of Pretoria. My research is actually looking at improving access to healthcare for vulnerable population, specifically addressing issues of sexual violence among women and prevention of HIV through encouraging young women and adolescents to use PrEP, and as well as adolescent health, sexual and reproductive health for adolescents to prevent teenage pregnancy. And basically, even if I'm doing this work to promote access to healthcare, we are particularly looking at working with the community. We are developing community-based interventions because we saw the need to say we have interventions that are working, they've been working for us, but now we have realized that people from the rural areas, they also struggle to gain access to healthcare, or they are not utilizing the services that they have. Let's go to the ground and find out from them how best we can work together with them. Remember, I'm a nurse, so talking from the nursing perspective, we have to reach the communities. They must tell us their issues so that we can start working together. We go there to tell them what are the available opportunities that we have in healthcare and what is it that we can do to work together with them. So we need their background to work together with them. Thank you.
You know, that's one of the things when we talk about scientific innovation, very often people think it's rather abstract, but you know, there's real life applications here and ways in which to improve our daily life and situation. Jamie, you of course a PhD student, and you were the recipient of a doctoral fellowship. So firstly, just your experience, you know, being amongst all of these women here.
Good morning, everyone. They asked me this question yesterday also, and I didn't have an exact word because, like, to describe the whole experience is too many words to pinpoint. So yeah, but there's been nothing short but just inspiring. I feel I've been so inspired and motivated from everyone. So yeah, it's just overwhelming to know that there is so much women that are just breaking so many boundaries and paving the way for us, the next generation. So yeah, I've just been so grateful for the opportunity. Yeah.
And the award of that fellowship that you received last night, what are you going to put that towards?
Yeah. So there is so many opportunities, and I think that this award allows me to do so much things that I don't think would have been possible. International travels, collaboration. I think the whole point would be like the international opportunity that now arises, and just having so much more collaborations, because I think like I've met so many different people, and it's so crazy how, or amazing how we can interlink with each other. So I think the fellowship, not only being awarded, but giving this opportunity is such a great network to allow us to have that interaction and that link. So yeah, I think with the fellowship, it's just an amazing opportunity to expand my knowledge, to do more than what I can do on a normal basis.
And that's fabulous. But Dr. Cele, I was speaking to him earlier, the DG and Deputy Minister Gina. we must be careful not to lose the talent. You know, they go off and they go and collaborate, but sometimes they decide not to come back. And I think that is such a key point, that we make sure that we incentivize them enough so that they come back home and plow back here. But Professor Jewel, I'm hoping that we're good now so we can hear about your wonderful work.
Okay. I think I said earlier, I do disability inclusive research. And one of the things I want to understand is why women with disabilities are specifically vulnerable to health disparities such as HIV, but also GBV. And then on the other side, what we can do about it. And I think someone was asking me, why does it matter? So when I first started, I was told they are 1% of 1%, they're not important. But it actually turns out persons with disabilities are at least 15%. And then obviously women are half. Over a lifetime, if we're looking at that, I think probably 45% of us will be affected by disability in our families somehow. So from that perspective, from the numbers, it matters. We have some real epidemics to struggle with in South Africa, such as HIV and GBV. And if you think about it, women with disabilities are at least twice as likely to be affected. We do have some inequality to address. And I truly, truly believe that if we are looking at the most vulnerable amongst us, and we start not forgetting about them, and we designing our facilities and our processes from the start with them in mind, we will be able to close that gap that we have, and we will have a better world. I truly believe that.
Startling statistic there, because, you know, just imagining you're already struggling with a disability, and then, you know, your chances of being abused also increased at the same time. And I'm loving that, you know, this is your area of focus, because the reality is we don't really think about people with disabilities when we are designing just everything in general. And you only realize it when you are faced with someone with a disability, and the things that we take for granted, they cannot access. And that's when you realize, you know, we speak, you know, a good word, you know, the policies are there, but in practice, it doesn't really translate.
It doesn't, and it isn't that it's easier said than done. So the word inclusion and accessible are big words. And when you start thinking it through to find the solutions in terms of, let's just education. One subject that I work with is sexuality education. You want to teach the same content, but it is different for a deaf person with how they're learning to someone with a visual impairment, to someone who has a physical disability or an intellectual one. So you need to adapt. And then you want to adapt using local resources, right? Because not everywhere we have resource-rich spaces, right? So you really have to innovate that space because no one talked about it before. So there's lots of room for scientists to come in my field. Please do so.
Yeah, the call is big.
Yes, yeah.
Love that. And Professor Siping, just coming to you and, you know, speaking about something like teenage pregnancy. Someone was asking a question on the social media platforms. What is it about South Africa that disturbs or that worries you most? And I said one of the things for me was teen pregnancy, because it is a real issue. It's a pandemic, really. And, you know, just speaking to that and, you know, how your work could potentially make a difference in that space, because it is really something that we need to address. We speak about our country and some of the socio-economic, psychosocial ills that we face, and one of them is teen pregnancy, but does it get the sort of, you know, attention that it should?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Sakina, and I'm happy that one of my mentors is in the room, who is Professor Mulaudzi. Like we are saying, we are talking about teenage pregnancy. We've been talking about it for many years. the issues that made us, that we have realized that going to the community is actually helping us, because we are talking about the use of contraceptives. We are talking about making awareness about the prevention of teenage pregnancy. We are talking about the module that they are doing at schools, which is life orientation. But by interacting directly with those teenagers, we've realized that there are many gaps in the things that we are doing. For example, they were talking about, like, we had a group of teenagers, which was boys and girls. Then when we were interacting with them, then we have realized that the boys stood up and say, you are talking about the prevention of teenage pregnancy, and you are saying that we must also participate as young men who are going to become men, like older men in the future. But where are we in this space? Because when you talk about the awareness, you are targeting a girl child. And when you talk about the contraceptives, we are talking about a girl child. When we are at home, the parents are talking to the girl child. So where are we in this space? We are also growing. We are teenagers. We experience things like when you are a teenager, you go into that stage of your body is starting to. There are changes that are happening in your body. So they become so frustrated because they don't have anyone to talk to.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause you there because I think this is something for me that I want to pick up at a later stage and maybe go into a program on it, because it's really a serious societal issue if we look at what's going on in that space. But I want Jamie, as we go to news at the top of the hour, just to tell us about what next for you. What will you be doing? What should we be looking out for?
What's next for me? I would love to continue my research. So my study of my research is in fabricating disease-based biomarker sensors for the detection of various diseases. So yeah, I would love to continue in this field. Again, been so inspired by all of these women that I've met. So yeah, I think what's next for me is just to try and be better, to just be more like these women, and just to inspire more, to be that role model that I've been looking up to this woman. So yeah, what's next for me is not only just being that, but to further my studies, to do more intricate, detailed research, and yeah, just to make some scientific discoveries and breakthroughs. And yeah, that's about it.
And as I said, we want to see, and I have no doubt we'll see all of these names in our history books. And just a quick reminder, we are streaming this on the SABC platform, so you can go there and watch. And I think I'll take that opportunity to perhaps speak to more of the winners from last night, so you can follow the conversation live throughout on the streaming platform. With that, it's 8 o'clock, time for the news with Leanne.
Thank you.
You're going to sit or do you want to go?
No, I'll walk.
Okay.
I'll walk and then I'll come back.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I don't even see it now.
Okay.
Should I say? Yeah.
Just present.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot we had a emergency mic
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Or how does he want to? I can stand here. But I think it would be nicer to walk. So who's starting us off?
Oh, then at least it's off.
Pardon?
Not forcing it, Anka. If we need to stand somewhere, we'll stand there. So can I walk? Sure. Okay, I'm ready when you are. Okay.
Where is the baby?
Okay. And welcome back to Bloemfontein. It is, of course, Women's Month, all of August here in South Africa, and celebrating women in science in South Africa. And a celebration, it very much is, judging by the smiles in the room, and why wouldn't they be smiling? And of course, we're just going to take a walk through, because there were 30 winners last night, and we're going to try and get as many of their stories to you, just so that you get a sense of the wonderful work that they are doing. And I asked, who wants to participate, and all the hands went up, so brace yourself, but it is absolutely worthwhile listening to the stories of these wonderful women. So I'm just going to pick a side and start here. And they're going to tell us first and foremost, ladies, who you are, the university that you come from, and of course, the work that you are currently engaged with. I'm going to ask you to stand for me as you come up, because we just want the camera to also capture your face. So please come and stand next to me and tell us your story.
Thank you so much. My name is Nathma Sami. I'm from the University of South Africa. I'm currently studying the relationship between psychological constructs and how they drive our responses to climate change. So in the room, we have amazing women with fantastic scientific developments. However, over the years, we've seen that we're a little bit resistant to pro-environmental behavior. So understanding what drives our adoption of pro-environmental behavior, so we can translate that science into action, and we can drive sustainable development in Africa and in the world, is essentially what I'm focused on at the moment.
That's fabulous. And of course, this is where the world is moving, really. And because now we're even at a point where some countries won't buy your product if it wasn't environmentally manufactured. So it is a big thing.
Yes, it is. And something we're also seeing is that the the individuals that's going to be most impacted by climate change are marginalized communities, women as well. We're going to be impacted by the negative impacts. So how we adopt these pro-environmental behaviors, it's really going to impact the sustainability of the entire ecosystem and our world that we live in.
Well, thank you so much. And Nathma Sami and the work that she's doing. And I must tell you, you know, when we think about scientists, they look nothing like the people we see in the room here. And, you know, just enjoying listening to them. And we're going to listen to more of those stories. I see someone has a mic, but I'm going to ask you to come around and come and speak to us here. Also, just because we want people to see who you are.
Hi, my name is Linda Makutu. I am a PhD candidate at the University of Johannesburg, and I'm in the philosophy of medicine. So I'm a philosopher first before I'm a scientist. But my work focuses on collaborating with African traditional medicine and African traditional healers in terms of treating mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety. This is because a large population of our people do seek help from African traditional healers, so it's important for us to seek ethical ways to collaborate with them. And so I'm a decolonial scholar, so I'm focused on decolonizing medicine. Most importantly, another thing I wanted to mention is that with the advancements that we're having in healthcare, we have the inclusion of artificial intelligence within our mental health systems. And so what's important is that we need to have a consideration of, we speak about her voice, but we also need to speak about African epistemologies within artificial intelligence design, because these are often designed in Western concepts and then encroached upon us without our cultural values in mind. So what I look at is how AI systems can involve ATM, so African traditional medicine, within their structure, because it is important.
It certainly is. But I have a quick question. Why is it that when we talk decolonization, it is often, you know, confrontational, almost combative?
I think it's because we feel uncomfortable, right? We're uncomfortable with thinking about decolonization because we think it's something that we should be scared of, right? It means that we're getting rid of something. But no, it means we need to challenge our existing ways of thinking. We're here, without decolonization, we wouldn't have as much, we wouldn't be celebrating these women in the...
Let's just share a mic.
Without decolonization, we wouldn't be sharing the space with so many phenomenal women. Without decolonization, we wouldn't be sharing the knowledge space with so many women of color. So it's important. So we're uncomfortable with it, but it's necessary to be uncomfortable in order for change to happen.
Well, thank you so much. And as you can hear, this is what we're talking about. This is what our women scientists are busying themselves with in those labs and other spaces where they find themselves. And we have more. And let's hear some of the work that we're talking about.
Thanks very much. It's such an honor to be here amongst these incredible women. My name is Brenda Morrow. I'm a professor in the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health at the University of Cape Town. I'm a physiotherapist by training, but my work has really broadened to an interdisciplinary approach to reducing the burden of severe childhood illness, with a focus specifically on low resource settings through Africa and the rest of the world. And yeah, working on a number of different projects and mentoring a number of fantastic students, largely women, to build their profiles and allow them to really follow in the path of all the women sitting here.
And of course, again, you know, a very important work that you do. But where would you like to see more support, more assistance to move you to the next level?
So I think I have had to fight really, really hard to move forward in a largely male-dominated medical society and a hierarchical society. So I trained as an allied health professional, not as a medical doctor. And as a woman and as an allied health professional, it has been really challenging to step forward into a space that's traditionally been dominated largely, when I started, certainly by men and by medical doctors. And I think what I've really been trying to do is show people that we can enter that space. We are equals in that space. And I always say that there's glass ceilings, but glass ceilings are made to be broken. And I hope that by breaking some of those glass ceilings, I've allowed that space for other people to step into it and to move forward as well. And again, I'm hoping that is largely, that is women, we represent people from all disciplines who can work together.
And we appreciate that. And it's all about standing on the shoulders of those who have gone before, doing some really, really fabulous work. And Dr. Mzilikazi last night, touching on all of the points that are being made here this morning. Please come up. And you were saying some very interesting things off air this morning before we started the broadcast. So take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is I'm a master's student at Stellenbosch University. I also work at the South African Astronomical Observatory, and I run outreach and science or public engagement activities across Africa and across the BRICS nations. And so my work is really driven by communicating science, but also making sure science is accessible in the communities that we are in. Because we have a lot of advancements, especially in astronomy, where we have large infrastructure and billions are invested in this science, but the immediate communities do not really understand the benefits. It's still such an abstract subject to them. So my work is centered in ensuring that the communities are brought in the conversation and understand this development. But not only that they also get to benefit in all of this. So we run a lot of outreach initiatives. The one I talked to you about earlier was we have a cascade outreach model where we are trying to make science accessible to communities. And so we have a call nationally and across the continent, where we get students, because people are busy, as you said. These women are working hard and they're busy and they're mentoring students, but you get students who are eager and want to go out to the community. So we have a call, and students who send them to the communities where they are from. So if I'm from Soweto, we send people back to Soweto. People who are from KZN in the rural areas get there and they communicate the science. And why is that impactful? It's because you get there, the people relate to you. So there's relatable role modeling. You understand the lived conditions of those people. And so when they see you speak and they see that you've made it, they believe it's possible for them too. But you're also able to speak in a language that they understand. So it's a much more impactful form of engagement, because it's not just giving a talk about science and then leaving them. But it's because they can see that through you it's possible. And they can learn from you. So it's some form of mentorship as well. And also the scientists themselves, we put them through a science communication training where before they go to these communities, we empower them to be able to stand up and speak to people. So it's a win-win for everyone. And we breed socially conscious scientists who understand why this is important. So even as they advance in their careers, they would always value this and contribute to it.
Well, thank you so much. Absolutely fabulous. And Dr. Tsele mentioned the astronomy program earlier, and this is why it's so important that we actually speak about it, we showcase it, more importantly, so that people can actually see what it is that we are doing. You're sitting so demure here, so let's just pull you out of that comfort zone just for a moment.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tebogo Mashikana. I am a professor at the University of South Africa. My work focuses on circular economy, basically looking at different kind of waste material that is generated by different industries. And I'm closing that loop and developing value-add products that we can use for different applications such as in building and construction. And why is this work important? The issues in South Africa, looking at informal settlement, we understand the problems in that sector. The products that we are developing, the prototypes that we have, we can actually build houses entirely from waste that will necessarily be in our environment, contaminating our environment, polluting our water, polluting our air, polluting our land. We use that waste. We use science to actually make that waste useful so that we can build value-add products and literally build a house from foundation to roof tile, entirely from waste.
Oh, thank you so much. Is it Naina's mom? and this is, of course, our honorary scientist in the room. She was at the awards last night. She's tired from everything that was going on. But of course, and as I said last night at the awards, I loved having her there because it makes it real in terms of the women in the room, women in science. Good morning, Naina.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me here. My name is Professor Albert Jadia. I'm an anthropologist by training, but I teach at the UCT Business School. And I teach things like critical race theory and ethics and decolonization. My research looks at knowledge infrastructure and how artificial intelligence, like other speakers, and how digital infrastructure like fiber optic cables shape what it's possible for us to think, especially given that a lot of this technology is developed outside the continent. And I'll say, I did my doctorate at Stanford and I came home, and I think a lot of us do come home because this is the most interesting place to be, and it's such an impactful place to work and to teach and to think. And I do want people to know that you can have family and you can have science together, and so many of my colleagues do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And just off the subject, this child doesn't cry, ladies and gentlemen. So is there something that you do specially? I mean, Naina, are you real? What's going on here? We went through an entire award ceremony last night. She did not cry once. You wouldn't even have known that there was a baby in the room. So maybe let's take this opportunity and help other moms. You know, what do you do?
I mean, we're calm parents, and we're lucky that she's a calm baby. She did vomit on me 5 minutes before the award ceremony.
She was nervous for you.
I quickly had to wash. We had a change of clothes for her, but I didn't bring a second dress. No, she's a lovely, calm child, and I think she's well socialized. She likes people.
Ah, she certainly does.
Enjoys the party.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And we talk about the history books, and yeah, Mom, and of course, maybe Naina is going to follow in those footsteps. So absolutely, absolutely love it. But she's tired. It was a long night. All right. Is there anybody else before I go back to the panel? So let me just round up here on the floor. Please come. You know, there was a lady who used to say to us, you must dress the way you want to be addressed. So here we go.
Good morning to you all. Thank you so much. I am Dr. Maureen Rofua Musie. I'm a senior lecturer and also an advanced midwife specialist from the University of Pretoria. So the work that I do is that we've found that in most cases, when students, leave, the institution or the university, when they get into practice as midwives, they're often not that capacitated or that competent to manage women that are presenting with emergencies, obstetric emergencies. So what I'm looking into is that I'm looking into developing maybe like the digital health, or even technology-informed continuous professional development for midwives, specifically to capacitate them to be able to manage emergencies. Because we have so many women, the main aim is that we want to have an alive mother and a live baby at the end of the process. So it's very important that we have people's lives, in our hands. So we have to be competent as midwives to manage those emergencies. Specifically, your pre-eclampsia when your woman is having hypertension, or even obstetric hemorrhage. So what I'm looking into is that we need to upskill the midwives to be able to contribute, to be able to manage those emergencies, so that we can, contribute to our sustainable developmental goal number 3, and also, to ensure that at the end of the day, we want an alive mother and a baby at the end of the process. So this is what I'm actually looking into.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Right, as we are rounding up, the hands that were up, let's quickly come to 1, 2, 3, and then we'll get back to the on stage.
Morning, Sakina. Morning, the viewers. My name is Mateo Metachivane. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Technology, and my work basically looks at creating a asset infrastructure management for public hospitals, and we use artificial intelligence through people to assist in managing of public healthcare infrastructure for the use of the everyday person in South Africa. So what basically happens there is that even if there's problems with the facilities, the assets, even if there's load shedding within the hospitals, people are able to access services. And this is a problem in South Africa because of if there's load shedding, especially in public hospitals, people cannot be operated, people cannot access services. There's problem with the machinery. So that is what my work looks at.
Oh, again, life-saving and the practical aspects, the application of the work that is being done. I'm going to ask you, Prof, to just come closer to me because we may have somewhat of an issue with that particular mic. So as you tell us about your work, and then you can start on that mic. If it doesn't work, we'll just exchange mics.
But although I'm part of that department, I'm also a clinical physiotherapist by background. And with that background, I studied persistent pain, which actually is one of the leading causes of disability in South Africa and the leading cause of disability globally. Most of us know someone who has pain that can't easily be explained or that doesn't have a clear solution. And that's the kind of persistent pain that we study in order to try to make sense of how that's possible. We know it's possible. We know many people have that situation. And we are slowly starting to learn more about how it's possible, what's going on in the body systems and what's going on in a person, so that we can better collaborate with the person in pain to help to develop a treatment approach that will really be effective for them and get them back to a full life.
Yeah, this is why we're not handing out people's details because you would be swamped right now, you know, because I can imagine so many people dealing with that at the moment. And good to know that there's work being done to try and understand what it is that they're dealing with. And a final word before we get back to the panel.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarojini Nada. I hold the Desmond Tutu Saatchi Chair in Religion and Social Justice. And I'm really glad that I get a chance to speak because the humanities is often treated as the poor stepsister of the sciences. And I think if we look at what's happening in the world right now, particularly in Gaza, we can't ignore the role of religion in promoting injustice. And so my latest book is called Gender, Genocide, Gaza, looking at the ways in which religion is weaponized in this particular conflict, in this particular violence that's happening there. Desmond Tutu himself was an ardent advocate for the people of Palestine. He said, South Africa, we cannot be free until the people of Palestine are free. So I want to say, free Palestine.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate your contributions this morning. And we continue because I'm getting back to the panel on stage as we move on and just have a few more discussions. And Deputy Minister, you know, one of the things you must be careful of is not to fall on stage. So rather take it easy and get there. But welcome back. So just listening to the women once again. And what's the takeaway for you from this year's SAWiSA?
My takeaway this year, Sakina, is to say women are getting into all the fields of science. Women that are here today, when we say they are the hub of knowledge, they are giving us that knowledge to understand the universe better, to understand ourselves even more better, you know, looking at all the fields that they have touched on today. I can assure you, Sakina, if we can understand and study their work, their publications, their theses, we can change this world for the better. We can understand it even more better. Our relationship with the environment can be better. Our relationship with ourselves, the way we behave can be much better. And I can assure you, from what we have just heard today, and if we can support them, if they can mentor, they can open up for more to follow them, our country will be totally different and the world as such. Our lives, we can, even extending our life expectancy, I'm telling you, it can be possible. For me, my takeaway is we are beginning to understand our universe, we're understanding ourselves, the way we need to live, even in a better way, through the work that these women, these scientists, these innovators are doing.
And it's such a ray of light, you know, in a country where we are faced with a lot of doom and gloom, and it's often very easy to become fatalistic about the problems that we face. And this has just, been that oasis in that desert of doom and gloom, and really, it fills the heart with great warmth and hope to know that there are women doing such wonderful things amongst us. And then from last night, our keynote speaker, we have Professor Mzilikazi. And I want to ask you, as an inaugural recipient of the SAWiSA Awards over 20 years ago, how's it evolved for you?
Sure, Sakina, it's been a whirlwind of a journey over the past 22 years. I think the first point that I want to make is how exceptional the SAWiSA platform can really launch your career. It gives you visibility, it gives you space, as we've just seen, to talk about the science that you do. And there's actually quite a lot of background support that the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation provides. I think back in the day when we won the fellowships as PhD students, they would literally go to all of the radio stations across the country and link you to the radio station that speaks your language. So I'm Xhosa, so I would go on to Umhlobo Wenene, speak about science, speak about women in science, and try and cultivate an interest and an enthusiasm for science in the younger people. So from there on, they never really let go of your hand. I think I want to say that once you get into the SAWiSA family, they really do work with you. And by they, I mean the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. And they keep tabs on you. When you finish your PhD, you get asked, so what's the next step? What are you going to do? Have you secured a position? Are you doing a postdoc? Have you thought about going abroad? And literally, everything I'm mentioning is an opportunity that I have had. I think I made the point yesterday that the SAWiSA Award is not candy. They don't just give it out. By virtue of being an awardee, it means there are certain things about you and your resume that stand out. And so the minute you've got that on your CV, that you're a SAWiSA winner, it already means a number of things. It means you're already ahead of your pack. It means you are ahead of your peers. And so I had won in the third year of my PhD, so I wrote up the following year. By November the following year, I had already secured an academic position, such that I submitted my PhD thesis in December, and I started working in January. So they really do keep track of you, and I've had opportunities to go abroad to do my postdoc, and then to come back and be supported through the National Foundation programs as a young academic. And they just walk the journey with you right up until this point.
And just by way of introduction, Dr. Nomagwezi Mzilikazi, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research at Rhodes University. And again, just listening to what you're saying, and so important, and this is the conversation we had at the start of this morning's broadcast with the Director General in the department, Dr. Cele, about literally going back and making sure that we amplify the voices and make sure that people know about the work being done. But let me also welcome Dr. Charlotte Maseremule. She's Senior Manager, Biotech Innovation and Commercialization at Market Access Africa. First off, your impressions of the awards and just the work being done and what you heard this morning.
Thank you so much. I'm in the presence of greatness, so my heart is aflutter with gratitude because of the incredible work that these ladies are doing. It gets better and better every year, so the standard is rising, and I'm incredibly impressed and grateful to be amongst such greatness with women who are contributing to health and to climate change, environment, energy, and it's incredible. It's incredible work to see, and I'm really, really thankful to be amongst these amazing women.
And just how does your work, coincide with what the ladies do?
So I'm in health biotech. I started off at the CSR as an intern, post my honors degree. Went to the CSIR as an intern. The Department of Science, Technology and Innovation sponsored a master's fellowship. And that master's fellowship helped me secure a spot at the University of Cambridge for my PhD. And that opened a whole new world of wonders. 2024, last year, I got the Distinguished Young Woman Researcher for the transition towards an innovation economy. So I'm the kind of scientist who is passionate about innovation that is impact-driven. Health biotechnology, we would like to get the things that we do in the lab to the patient's bedside. So that's where my interest lies. And that also ties into what I'm currently doing now at Market Access Africa, which is helping innovators, so researchers at research councils, universities, as well as biotech startups and such, get their innovations and products to market. We also do technical advisory where we can walk with you from idea all the way through to regulatory approvals and market entry.
So I immediately think about what happened during the COVID pandemic and how we saw in real terms and technicolor vaccine apartheid. And, you know, at the time when we have all these great minds, we have the capability to make a contribution as South African scientists. I don't mean we, I mean you guys. But, but you know, just in terms of helping understand, you know, what is going on with this virus, but at the same time, we had to wait somewhere in the back of the queue as an African nation to access vaccines.
Yes, so self-reliance is incredibly important. And as the Deputy Minister was saying, the work of these ladies will lead us there. So we need not just innovators in the lab, we also need to be able to interface with business so that our solutions are marketable, but we also need to interface with policy makers so that earlier on, everybody is engaged and we know what the pipeline is, and we keep reinforcing that pipeline through investment. And we'd like to thank the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation because they do fund incredible work and they keep funding work that leads to innovative solutions. And some of us were recipients of that, like I mentioned earlier on in my career, but also recently in with my previous employer, Mintech, where I was the unit director for the Nanotechnology Innovation Center's biolabels unit. We were heavily funded by the department, and through that type of funding, we're able to develop a rapid diagnostic test that we took through to clinical trials, to regulatory approvals in South Africa, and submit to the WHO pre-qualification program.
Well, I tell you what, I could speak to all of you for days and days, but we don't have days because there's so much to get through yet. Deputy Minister, you're holding a book there, and this is, of course, also one of the important aspects of this year's celebration of South African women in science. And I had a look through this yesterday. Really, really beautifully done and put together. Some of the women who have sat here in your position over the past 20 years featured here. So I would imagine, given all the women that have been recipients here at SAWiSA, will be featured at some point or another, and this book is just going to grow thicker and thicker.
I'm telling you, Sakina, this book is going to be so thick. All of them. We're still waiting for them. Thicker and thicker. As it is said, the SAWiSA are growing better and better every year. This is just the beginning, good people. Everyone, you need to get a copy. This is the publication that is quite exciting. Shared experiences here. What are they doing in their various fields, and the journey, the SAWiSA journey, sharing and mentoring others that are coming up. So, as I can assure you, it is going to get thicker and thicker, bigger and bigger, because we're still waiting for the live experiences of even all these women, even here from 2025. This dates back to 20 years of SAWiSA. All the women that, it's not all of them, it's just some of them.
It's just some.
It's just some. Like
Dr.
Professor Mzilikazi. Like Professor Mzilikazi, one of our inaugural SAWiSA winners that are here. So we will still be engaging, and as it has been mentioned that we go the journey with them. We always want to hear where they are and what is it that they're doing, and we document that so that those who want to come in, they can have the references. Women can do it. It has not been easy, but they've achieved something. But what I want to say again, because such platforms are good, the LinkedIn platform that has been created, it's one platform again, where you are saying the SAWiSA women, the SAWiSA winners, you have a platform where you can continuously engage and share your experiences and network, because this is a networking platform where we can assist each other. So make use of that platform too, whilst we also pour in this book to make it bigger and thicker, but that is a platform on daily basis where we want to see you engaging on it and teaching and spreading your knowledge to the society and the communities out there. Thank you.
And I read Professor Mzilikazi's story, because she was, of course, our keynote speaker last night, and very interesting. So I won't spoil it for you, because there are some women, that you will immediately recognize, and perhaps some that we don't necessarily recognize right off the bat. But they all have such incredible stories, and we get to know them a little more through this book. But of course, these awards, as you've alluded to last night and again this morning, Professor Mzilikazi, it's not just symbolic.
No, it's absolutely not symbolic. It is a platform. It is a mechanism to give voice, her voice, to women scientists. They stand out as soon as they've been awarded, and their work just keeps getting amplified, and their influence and impact also gets amplified.
And then, Dr. Maseremula, we have to start wrapping this up, but again, just the work that is being done and the sort of support that the women scientists in this room and beyond need. What sort of advice would you give, especially to those who are contemplating and those starting out?
I would say go for it, but do it on your own terms. So your journey doesn't have to look like the next person's journey. So you can tailor your walk however you wish, whether you are more towards the academic side or you are more towards the impact, the innovation impact and business side, or somewhere in between. It doesn't have to look one way or the other. And that there are great support systems like what the SAWiSA folks are putting together. There are also other programs nationally, like the BioAfrica programs, where we have student chapters. We train young students to think innovation, to think as entrepreneurs earlier on in their career. There's also biotech startup stadiums and such. So there's a great deal of support systems that you can access. So do it on your own terms, and you don't have to do it alone.
Indeed. And ask, just ask. I always say the worst that could happen is someone could say no.
Exactly.
And that doesn't really change where you are. So ladies and the gentlemen, thank you for your support. So many of you last night and this morning again. And thanks to all the ladies who participated so fabulously. And of course, it's a celebratory moment, 20 years of South African women in science. And of course, the launch of this beautiful new book, and looking forward to seeing all of you. I think I said last night, looking forward to seeing you in our history books. And I have no doubt that you will make it there. And then, of course, just to end it off for us, Deputy Minister, all protocol observed. I wanted to say that all night. So we shall observe the protocol and get you to have the final word here this morning.
My final word is to say thank you very much to all these incredible women that are here, Sakina. As the department, we might have wishes and to carry the mandate that we have to carry as the mandate by the government. But without them, really, the hard work that they do, there's so much that they do. They don't sleep. Thank you very much for carrying that torch for the country. And we hope and believe this journey, it's not easy, but with all the assistive and the assistance that we are giving, the avenues that are there, the platforms that have been created, and that you are creating yourselves. For me, Sakina, it's so much heartwarming to see even the very warm relationship that is there even with the private sector, creating this conducive environment for our scientists to thrive. Really, that's what we hope and believe we are going to keep this very warm relationship, and looking forward to see more young women coming in and saying science is the way to go, and there are so many fields that we need to see our young women getting in to make sure that they bring the necessary solutions that you are looking for as the society. And we really rely on you, our good scientists. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, the Deputy Minister of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ms. Gina. And we also had with us on this panel Dr. Nomagwezi Mzilikazi from Rhodes University and Dr. Charlotte Maseramule joining us from Access Africa. And to everyone in the room, thank you so much for inspiring not just me, but I have no doubt everyone who's been watching, and looking forward to seeing you guys in your labs, the field where you apply your trade. And I am challenging the DG to take us there so that we can bring your stories to South Africa and the world. And at this point is how we wrap it. And I want to just quickly touch on something before I say a final goodbye. Someone made the point earlier about the support staff and how hard they work. The work that goes on behind the scenes. And I had the privilege of seeing that in action. Butle, Taslima, Dr. Maputi, it's amazing. And the calls were coming through as I was sitting with them, driving with them, people asking about the awards and explaining to me just how difficult it is because of all the nominees, you are the 30 that made it. So thank you so much to all of you. It's been fabulous and looking forward to many, many more. And congratulations to each and every one of you. And yeah, it's a party now. Cupcakes are served. Thank you, everybody.